I love that, and I think that's so important, at least to the idea of the metaverse. That's, I think, a foundation for many of us. Just that asset ownership and being able to, trade or sell, or use that however you want in different uh, worlds of the metaverse or metaverses. So I'm glad there is another side to to all of the centralization or the centralized metaverses. Maybe we could call it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Metaversed podcast. My name's Archetype, and I'm joined once again by Atlas Theory. Good to see you again, man. I'm excited for this one.
Good to see you as well. I'm excited. Time to jump into the metaverse.
Yeah. Now, last episode, we did more of an introduction just into the podcast, and we talked about what this will be, what the type of topics that we'll talk about. Everything from wearables, VR, AR, gaming, blockchain, lore, storyline, all those creative things. And we touched on, towards the end of that, talking about a metaverse standard. And it was a bit of a rabbit hole, so we thought we'd pause there. And we're coming back, episode 2. We're going to have a bit more of a deep dive on this topic. So
Can't wait.
can't wait for that. But before we start there, what have you been up to this week, man? What's been happening?
Oh man. So let's say metaverse related. I am working on finalizing some lore for an NFT project on Solana called Cyberfrogs.
Nice.
Yeah, they are building huge stuff. Can't believe they're still under 5 Sol, honestly. But they're having some big releases at the end of this month, starting at the end of this month, and I am trying to write the lore for it. No, I got it. I got it. I'm good. I'm good. I can't go into it. That's why I'm saying trying. But there's a few projects I'm really excited to release some stories about.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I
what
had
about
a
you?
little look on their website. It looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We need an episode, though, of your process of story writing. I think that needs to be something we include in the future.
That'd be fun. It's evolving
Yeah.
with this new technology. So yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, metaverse related. I've been doing a lot of research. I'm I have a storyline for my next episode of my comic,
Mm.
um, and I think it's a good one. But I really want to up the level on this next episode. So I've just been watching a lot of animation and just sort of deconstructing it in my mind, and working out how things are built, because I that's the way I learn. I think, like, if I can look at something, I can work out how it's made. Then
Mm.
I sort of learn that way. So that's what I've been doing this week, just watching a lot of cartoons, a lot of animation.
Yeah,
Um,
I
so
love
yeah,
it.
that's one thing. And then the other one is just formulating a plan for bringing my other passion into this metaverse space, which is charities and helping others. So
Mm.
did an interview this week with a charity that I'm well connected with, and one that I love, and be bringing a video out on that soon. So yeah, stay tuned for that one.
Heck yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I see you on Twitter, and I'm loving the progress and the updates you give. Um, yeah, it's it's going to be really cool to see that come into like fruition of its like, yeah, main goal someday, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point in this podcast. But speaking of Twitter and these projects that we're all working on and kind of the wider metaverse community, um, uh, I think we've talked about starting a segment about maybe picking one person each week and highlighting them. Did you have somebody you wanted to shout out for this first week of the segment?
Yes, yes. All right, so we'll make this a regular thing. But this week, I want to have a community shout out to Shaddix1.
Hmm.
I connected with Shaddix a few months back, probably the start of the year, but he was
Hmm.
just dropping like these amazing tracks. And then I connected with him and got chatting, and I realized how he's such a humble dude. He's such a nice guy, and he's in it for the right reasons too. Like
Hmm.
he's not trying to do a money grab. So I think
Awesome.
we'll put some links in this video for him. And yeah, guys, go check out Shaddix. He's got a Spotify. Yeah, so he's on Spotify. He's on Audius. You can support him there. Audius is a platform, a Web3 platform where you can
Hmm.
support artists. So go check him out there, and go check out his Twitter too, and give him a follow.
No, he's a really really cool guy, and I like that you mentioned that. If you guys are also looking to be creators, you have to have that organic growth mindset. These are going to be a long few years for the metaverse to be fully fleshed out. So, like
Yeah.
having that, that right sentiment, like you said, Shaddix has and is moving forward with is the right way to go.
So I'd like to get on to our main topic. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about it before. This one is the Open Metaverse Alliance for Web3. So OMA3 for short. And
Three.
yeah, this is something headed up by Animoca Brands. And they got some big players with them, man. This is quite exciting news.
Dude, it is. I don't know if we want to list them right now, but we have, of course, our home world, I guess you could call Star Atlas, um, and they've already done collabs with a few of these. They've partnered with Animoco brands previously as well. We have Alien Worlds from Wax, which was actually my first gaming platform. Love the whole NFT user experience over there. And then one I have a little less experience with, which is, you want to help me out?
Dapper Labs, I believe.
Mm,
I
yeah,
think they're a very similar company to Animoca. They sort of dabble in uh, different stuff across different platforms, different games and
awesome,
things like that.
very cool.
Yeah, then there's also Decentraland, and there was
Mm,
another one, big player,
yes, I made a
Sandbox.
yeah. I was like, I made a Tigu for this one, and I can't believe I don't remember. It was there somewhere. So, so what are these guys setting out to do? We know it's the standard, but like, does the article give little information on how they might go about that?
Yeah, so it's actually interesting. So these guys partnered to create this alliance, and it came on the heels of another announcement from some very different companies. So previously to this alliance, the likes of Meta, Alibaba, Sony, and Microsoft got together, and they created their alliance called the Metaverse Standards Forum. Um,
Okay.
and so they're a slightly different agenda, I guess you would say, with those
Definitely.
companies. And so it was interesting to see now a different alliance form, this OMA3, with these companies that we mentioned, Animoca, Dap Lab, Star Atlas, where they are a lot more borderless. They are player focused
Mm,
and really their whole like their opening sort of like tag phrase, I guess you would say, is preserving freedom of information, and to
Mm.
have the assets belong to the people, not the platforms themselves. So I thought that was interesting, that they come out with that as their tagline, and yeah, just the quality of players that are in that alliance. And when you contrast the two, very interesting.
Hmm. I love that, and I think that's so important, at least to the idea of the metaverse. That's, I think, a foundation for many of us. Just that asset ownership and being able to, trade or sell, or use that however you want in different worlds of the metaverse or metaverses. So I'm glad there is another side to to all of the centralization, or the centralized metaverses. Maybe we could call it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because I think like they're solving a couple of problems. Like one, you want to be able to, and we touched on this last episode, is one, you want to be able to take your character that you own, whether you've purchased it or you've created it, and you want to be
Hmm.
able to be the same character, I guess. You want to build your own like intellectual property, your own storyline, your own fame, I guess, like if that's the right
Hmm.
word. But you want to be able to move, like say, a good example is like Doctor Disrespect. Like
Yeah.
he's in video games and stuff now. Like he is this identity, and so
Hmm.
like if you were to build up a character like that and to be able to create content and then move that into the game, um, you want to be able to move it across different platforms so that you're recognizable. You don't go
Right.
from like your character as like a space chimp, and then you go jump into Decentraland or Sandbox, and you have to be something completely different, that people
Hmm.
don't recognize. You want that continuity across all platforms.
Hmm.
So I think that's one thing that they're going to look to solve, is being able to move assets across different platforms with less friction.
Hmm.
And then the other thing is, I think that they're going to start creating, which is, I think, the most exciting, uh, SDKs and marketplaces.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we need for sure.
Yes. And I think that that's the big thing, is putting the tools in the hands of the users really gives them that ownership.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that, like, this idea of the metaverse really stems from things we've seen in gaming for a long time, which is mods. That idea is really going to be what I think pushes the metaverse to be this huge place that you could spend your lifetime exploring. I don't know if that happens on the other side, like a more centralized, like maybe they would build it out, but I don't know if the deals that would have to happen to get your creations into the world, it would seem a little more difficult, and hoops you might not want to jump through.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't see like Meta or Facebook. I think that they'll have like that character creation, and that'll
Mm.
lure a lot of people in, and there'll be heaps of different options
Mm-hmm.
for that. But I can't see them saying, "Oh, here's an SDK. Upload whatever character you want." I think
Right.
whatever creation that you make is going to be on their platform, and that's about it. Like you're not going to be able to go outside their realm of stylistic sort of characters and figures and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like even looking back to how some of these companies, not all of them on that list, have handled like Web 2, you never know, when your creation or your account or this like whole second life you've built up disappears, because you
You
said
get banned.
something, or you get banned. Yeah. um, uh, man, that imagine that kind of world in the metaverse. It doesn't fit, you know. And not to mention like ads and all that. Like we're going back to Ready Player One with like the ad
Mm,
space on the screen and the you know the revenue sharing of creators, if they even get their creation in, is going to be that
yeah.
percentage is going to be so low compared to a decentralized metaverse. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I like about the Open Metaverse Alliance is they're setting up with a DAO, and that
Okay.
DAO is going to be available for anyone to participate in and have a
Mm.
vote and have a say. So I'm excited for whenever that drops. That's definitely something that I'll be looking to get involved with. Um, whereas, yeah, you contrast that with this metaverse standards forum with Microsoft and Meta and you know all those decisions are being made by those companies um,
Mm-hmm.
for for their own benefit. Like they're not looking to make a change or to implement something based off like your profit in that
Mm.
involvement. It's all about you know what are the shareholders wanting. Give the people, the users of the platform, enough that they'll keep coming, but bottom dollar, like how are we making money off this thing? Because
Mm.
at the end of the day, those people are the product. The people that use those platforms are the product, and
Yeah.
all they're looking to do is to suck as much information out of you as possible. Um, and I think that that's the power play that Meta is doing. You know, there's only so much data that you can suck from someone in a 2D platform, but you put them into a 3D space where you can track so much more of their movement and their engagement and their focus.
Mm-hmm.
That's money. That's data that they can um, get from you and sell on.
I want to jump over to the other side for a second.
Okay.
Just do a little theory craft, and I'd love to hear anybody listening or watching what you guys think of how this would play out. So we have these two sides. We've seen in many NFT projects that decentralization, if not handled well, is slow, and the people don't always make the right choices. Um,
Mm,
because it does become almost not groupthink, but something similar in the way of like A is the most popular option, so that's what happens versus like let's look at the market and like the research behind each one. Um, but then over here we have a centralized, which is usually always faster. I almost but maybe a more focused direction. So like how do you think these would play out? Are there benefits to being slower? um just play around with that idea maybe for a minute. I'll try to think of an answer too, because yeah, it's kind of a difficult one to jump into. So I'm really curious to hear everybody.
I think I think like that whole open source idea
Mm,
will allow things to progress. Like if in this OMA 3, like this Open Metaverse Alliance, if they are um, allowing like open source development within these
mm,
platforms, I think that they will go leaps and bounds ahead of um, someone who has to run everything through like the red tape of a company and
mm,
running it past like those people that have to make the decisions. It's sort of like the difference between not to get political, but like why China is like so good at just getting stuff done is because they don't have as much of that red tape. They want to go build a bridge or build a high rise or build some development. They just get in and get it done, and they experiment a bit with different designs and different things, and um, their progress has just been crazy. Like in the past 40, 50 years. and whereas you look at like something like America or anywhere else in the West, for
Mm-hmm.
them to go through that same amount of change just takes so much longer.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's an interesting topic, man. Like, I think there's pros and cons on both sides, but just having that open source where the people are free to create, um,
Hmm.
I think that that will allow development to go much faster.
I think so as well. And we're even like slightly touching on like the current, um, I guess, status of Web3 gaming versus traditional. I don't want to go into that because we're sticking to metaverse, but it's kind of the same thing that's happening. The Web3 it has so much freedom to move and to build its audience, and the traditional is getting backlash, for trying to put an NFT in their game, even. So, like, you know, there is that dynamic that could play out against, the the Alibaba Facebook um, yeah group. So regardless of this conversation between kind of the decentralized, centralized, standardized groups, uh, there is some great technology being developed over, especially by Meta. I know that you saw something. Do you want to jump into that for a second?
Yeah, there was a leak. Someone had posted we knew it was coming.
Mm,
The new Quest headsets, and they're set to launch in October.
nice.
But someone had leaked like photos of the box and the packaging and things like that. I think it was left in a hotel room, from memory, but someone had posted them up, and they look pretty cool, man. Like, this is the thing. Like, everyone sort of rags on Zuckerberg, and not I don't want to be a part of that metaverse that they're creating over there, but I think they're gonna still have some pretty cool stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're obviously gonna have a dominant market for the hardware, and so we're gonna have to use some of these products,
Yeah.
until these Web3 platforms come out with some of their own. So it's interesting. Like, I don't think we can completely separate ourselves just yet.
Right.
Um, and in the meantime, we can enjoy their products. We know that um, a different option is coming, but we can learn from what they're putting out. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely excited for these headsets. They look pretty sleek, man.
Dude, that's so cool. I have started to look into some of this technology, and I can't wait to start picking some tools up and playing with them and learning this space a little bit more. So we'll have to share our journey, both of us, on that here on some upcoming episodes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I think we could do a whole topic just on maybe some of that hardware that's coming out, because I know Apple have got theirs coming out soon.
Yeah.
There's some cool like haptic feedback stuff. I think that could be a whole episode in its own, just talking about different hardware.
All right. I think we do that. Let's go. Episode 3 is some hardware.
Sweet.
Metaverse.
Sounds
Let's do
good.
it.
Excited. All right. Well, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you again for listening to episode 2 of the Metaversed podcast. We're going to be coming to you regularly every week, with different topics. There's just so much to cover. So we're excited. And if you have any suggestions for topics that you might like us to talk about, leave it in the comment section below and share this out with your friends. And we'll see you for the next one.
Bye, guys.